And at the same time, the one comes from hustling royalty. His father, Rondell DEFCON Stark, whose face belongs on the Mount Rushmore of Kingpins, right next to Nicky Barnes and Frank Lucas.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Von back again, and yes, today we're going to be covering another power-related video. And in today's topic and video discussion, we're going to be talking about a character that was heavily mentioned throughout the Raising Kanan series of Season 1 and Season 2. And with Season 3 around the corner, I feel like it would be cool to really talk about this character as it relates to the show. And that character being is none other than himself, DEFCON Stark. Now, DEFCON Stark is a character we haven't seen. He's a character that's heavily mentioned throughout the series, and he's mentioned in a respectful way. Hell, even in the beginning of Season 1, Detective Howard even mentions that Kanan was actually the son of, Southside royalty. He was the biggest drug kingpin in Southside Jamaica, Queens, but Detective Howard also describes he should be belong right next to Nicky Barnes on the Mount Face of, Rushmore of drug kingpins.
What Rock say Def said?
She just told me stories about how smart he was.
Right.
How he had mad respect on the street.
Correct. Yo, Def had the whole South Side on lock, man.
And as shown in the series, Raquel also said that DEFCON was actually left-handed, meaning that he was actually gay behind closed doors.
I'm sure you ever gay.
Well, shit, DEFCON was a grown man, too. You ain't had no problem when he was hitting them skins when he was 16.
DEFCON was left-handed.
DEFCON was a fucking fairy?
Still 10 times the nigga you'll ever be.
Now, some people thought that was odd for her to say, like, why would Raquel say that DEFCON is gay? Like, that doesn't make sense. But it pretty much adds up because in the 70s, I'm pretty sure, you couldn't really be so openly being, gay like that, especially of somebody of DEFCON's magnitude, of his, force, especially in the business that he was in. And, if rumor got out, things probably would have got way worse for him.
What? I ain't gay.
But back to the topic of anyway, DEFCON is a character that I think is interesting, kind of like how Breeze is in the OG Power series. He's heavily mentioned throughout Raising Kanan, so DEFCON is a character that I think is interesting. Now, personally, I think a DEFCON series, another prequel, would be good to see of, DEFCON or either, the Thomas family. Because as these old new characters that we're looking at as fans, we're already heavily invested into characters like a Marvin, like a Lulu, like a Raquel, Unique. So it would be interesting to see them in their younger element and see how they became the way they became. We want to know how Marvin got busted. We want to know, how was Raquel running things, especially when Marvin was away? What was Lulu doing during that time? How was Jukebox growing up, especially with Raquel at the time? Because, Jukebox and Kanan were literally babies around the time DEFCON was taking over, or probably just born when DEFCON was taking over. And, this was during the 70s. So it would be interesting to see how DEFCON literally took over Southside Jamaica, Queens. And I would want to know what type of character he was, because as, heard in Season 2 by his brother Vernon Stark, which, who was incarcerated, he literally told Kanan that, look, by the time Def was your age, he was running up in any bitch he wanted to. We had the South Side on lock.
By the time Def was your age, he was already running corners, living in his own crib, running up into any bitch he wanted.
And that was pretty much, the description we got from DEFCON, other than him being obviously, part of the LGBTQ community on the low, as well as him being, the dude. He was the man around, especially around Kanan's age, which is like in the show, like what, 15, 16 years old of Season 1 and Season 2. So it would be interesting to see a story about DEFCON, of how that technically all started the whole, Power series, because that would technically be the starter of the Power series, unless we're going to be on some Tony Teresi shit and go all the way back, further back. But that would probably just be stretching the prequels by then. But I think either a DEFCON prequel would be dope to see, and how he ran Southside before the era of Raquel, or see the Thomas family and how they came up, during that time, because I would love to see Raquel, of how she became so cold-hearted and so ruthless and so manipulative, because she looks like she learned a manipulation game from her mom, or she learned it from Detective Howard, and she displayed that into Kanan, and that's how Kanan displayed it into Ghost and also Tariq. So it would be interesting to see either a Thomas Family prequel or, you know, a DEFCON prequel. I think they would mesh well together because obviously Raquel was heavily involved, you know, in the DEFCON organization, especially as a CI. You know, despite Raquel being a CI, she's still a bad bitch at the end of the day. And no, I ain't talking Trina. You know, she's a bad bitch. So it would be cool to see everybody's backstory of how they became who they became and how they, you know, got into terms, especially with Unique's brother that's coming in season 3, Ronnie Mathis. It would be interesting if they actually went back in time to the 80s of how he got arrested or what he got arrested for. So it would be interesting of how things panned out. But everybody, you know, that's been tuning in, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, you know, drop your comments down, your theories, all that good stuff. And your boy Von out. Peace.